Hi, this is Eli Kransberg from Logic Pro Expert. In this series of videos, my colleague Chris Vandeviver and I are doing a kind of guitar mix-off, where we're taking the same guitar tracks, and in the first couple of videos, we each did our own mixes with these guitar tracks using only Logic's built-in plugins. And in these videos, we're using our favorite third-party plugins. And I'm focusing mainly on Blue Cat Audio's Axiom guitar amp for most of the tracks, with Destructor on one of them. And before I start playing you and showing you what I'm doing, I'm mixing into a guitar bus that has the Waves Puig Child on it. I just like the way it tightens it up and adds a bit of brightness and just a bit of EQ here to compensate, a bit of a dip to compensate for the brightness, but it kind of all works. And I'm using for reverb FabFilter Pro R with a nice short sound. And even though there's a bunch of EQ on there, I'm adding a little dip around here because it's a bit honky around 350. So let me start with these rhythm tracks. So here's a mono guitar part, and I made this into a blend of two amps, even though it's mono. That's just amp A with the wah. And then here's amp B. And that's the wah. And the two together. And I've adjusted the balance here, but there's no real panning because it's still mono. That's the dry track. Here's the second track. And here I'm using mono to stereo instance of this, and I've customized the second side and panned them. So for the second side, I called up this JC over amp setting. And I've added a bit of EQ here at the end to boost the treble a bit and cut the bass. Simple EQ. So you can hear I've stereoized it. And here's the third one, which is also mono to stereo. And again, I've customized the second amp, and I've added some third-party processing on the output, which is a great feature of these Blue Cat Audio plugins. I started off with the Renaissance Axe for a bit of the compression, and then some EQ from a DSP. That's without it. And then with it. So the three together work nicely. Let's move on to the next section. It starts with some rhythm guitars. There's a little bit of a piano solo. And these I've panned, but not hard panned. Here's the one on the left. Again, with Axiom. And on this one, I used a dynamic EQ on the input with DSP. Find the treble is a bit shrill on some of those accented notes. So you can see I have it set here to dip a bit more when he's accenting. And I added some EQ on the output, just a fixed band, dipping at about 4.5K. Again, just to compensate for that bit of shrillness. That's the dry track. Now here's the other rhythm guitar track. And here, I've got some EQ in front to boost the low end, Pro Q3, and a bit of dip up high. So this is before it's going into the amp, and I'm using only a regular mono amp here because I've got them doubled, they're panned. And I've got a little bit of EQ on the output, nothing too fancy. Actually, just a tiny bit of treble dip there. And I muted the reverb in the preset. Here's without the reverb. And with it. So you can hear how it really adds. So let's look at the solo sound. Here I'm using front DAW to go in on the input, warm it up before I hit Destructor. And I've modified one of the presets. Just adjusted the drive in the different settings. And I'm using a longer reverb here, because I want a bit longer than the other ones. So altogether, I think this works pretty nicely. So that's my take on these guitar tracks with Blue Cat Audio Axiom and Destructor. Thanks for watching. This is Eli Kranzberg from Logic Pro Expert.